They say it's impossible until it's done, and that stands true for Nigeria and the Winter Olympics. Now, who would have ever thought that a country in the depth of the African tropics would go and compete in a race surrounded in snow and ice in the very chill of winter? Well, that was the dream and the vision of Sheyin Adegun and the Nigerian bobsled team. But what can we say for them? They came, they saw, and they conquered in their very own way. This is their story.
Credit must go to this iconic Nigerian women quartet of Sheun Adigun, Ngozi Onwomere, Omega Akwoma, and Simidele Omonla Adegbo, who enters the history books as the first women to represent Nigeria and Africa in the Winter Olympic Games. This is a product of Nigeria's determination to break new grounds and achieve what has never been done.
Sheona Digun was born into a sport-loving family on January 3rd, 1987 in Illinois, USA. Growing up in a neighborhood that loved basketball and having former basketball player Hakeem Olajuwon as an uncle, she was infatuated with shooting hoops from a tender age.
I grew up in a neighborhood primarily with all men, with all boys. You know, I was like one of the only girls that would move with them all the time. And so I thought to myself, basketball is actually my favorite sport. It's actually my first love. And I was very aggressive. I was very athletic. I could jump with the best of them. So I thought I was going to dunk a basketball when I was like 13, 14 years old. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. But it was in my dream to be the shortest woman to dunk and the first woman in the NBA. I decided to take it seriously just because all my life people were telling me, you know, you're very talented, you're very athletic. And I'll just be like, okay, thank you. And the competitor in me just always wanted to show greatness. And I felt like you didn't have to be one-dimensional in doing that. You could be, you know, very book smart, and you can be dedicated to, you know, getting yourself along in a career, but you can also be dedicated to being an athlete. And it's okay to do both. So whenever I decided to take track and field seriously, I knew that I was making the correct decision. Because it wasn't limiting my ability to still be academically strong, because I know where my focus is in life, and it's always being able to be a better version of myself no matter what it is, and life shouldn't be one-dimensional.
In 2012, Sheon qualified for her first Olympic experience, but it was not without its own challenges.
First Olympic Games 2012 was beautiful. It was one heck of a journey. I went through a lot to get to that point. It was one of those things where for 3 years, all I wanted to do was dedicate myself to qualifying for the Olympic Games. I had been through 2 heart surgeries by that time. I had been through, you know, being on a team, quitting a team, and just like going back and forth between these emotional battles of being able to realize my potential as a track and field athlete, but also just living life and being happy and not having to stress about, you know, health or anything. So that journey to the 2012 Olympics, the devil tried it. He tried it that year. I actually ended up going to the games with a stress fracture in my leg, but it was one of those things where I said, you know what? If God said that I'm going to be here at these Olympics, then I'll be there no matter what. So I'm going to continue. And if my leg snaps in half, if it breaks, then that's just God saying that, look, this is what I've gotten for you, and this is where it's gonna end. But if it doesn't, then God is saying, thank you for trusting me. This is what you are owed for your, you know, resilience and for your dedication. And that's exactly what I did. So I just kept fighting through everything that year. And so getting to the games, I was a bit disappointed, obviously, because I was in the best shape of my life. Earlier that year, I'd actually placed in the finals of World Indoors for the first time, which was, you know, something that I had never done. And just for me to get injured going into the games. But we thank God, you know, I gave every ounce of everything I had during those games, and I wouldn't take the experience back for anything.
Although Sheon may not have known that she would one day compete in the Olympics again, her participation this time around would be in the most unexpected way imaginable.
I don't know. I think initially people were like as in the Winter Olympics that has snow, like the one where there's ice with Nigeria. Okay. People were a little at first like, you're funny, Sean. You know, you get these great ideas. This is really a good one, you know. But eventually, when people noticed that there was a serious plan that had been set out and a mode of execution that was being, you know, done, people were like, wait a minute, this might actually happen. And some of that denial started to come into curiosity. And then that curiosity started to turn into excitement. And then that excitement started to turn into joy because people were then proud. They felt represented. And the support was the same way.
Actually, it was shame after the London Olympics. She was part of my team to the London Olympics. She did the hurdles. And for a while, I didn't see her until I met her at the Penn Relays. She was then doing assistant coaching with the University of Houston. Then she hinted me that she's doing bobsleigh and she's part of the US team. It's okay, fine. But somehow, since I met her, she's been very patriotic, very particular about Nigeria. Yeah, she ran for Nigeria in the Summer Olympics, but will she really want to do that for the US in the Winter Olympics? Because she has dual citizen, so she can swing both ways. But
Bobsleigh's about swinging.
okay, but I think she wanted to do it for Nigeria. And I said, okay, why not? We can do something. But we didn't talk about it again until 2016. At that time, I was saying, what do we do? Let us look for new ground, do something new. Then she contacted me again. I said, okay, we'll do it. So when I went to Brazil, when I discovered that some people were doing skeleton, but there were a whole lot of issues with the NOC and all that. So she got me somebody from the IBSF. IBSF means the International Bobsleigh and Skeleton Federation. So I had a meeting with them. And we agreed, but you know, Nigeria, the thing is complicated, but we were able to resolve all that by December 2016. That is how we now met in my house in the US, and that is how the federation was formed. Now, after forming the federation, there are a series of things you must do to be recognized to participate as a country and also to qualify for the Olympics. So from the one, she got everything in place. So we know what to do, where we need to be to qualify. So we started the journey, and she was able to recruit all the other women except Simi.
Ladies and gentlemen, our special ladies that we're honoring tonight, Cheryl, Akuma, and Ugazi. Put your hands together for them, guys. Make some noise. Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, let's make welcome on stage Ugazi Awungere.
And at the front, we have the big smashing guest as always, Omelda.
So
I moved to Houston in July of 2016, or I had an older brother, that's how I call him, who knew Shion. And he told me that she's a good person to know and that I should get to know her. So her and I met up, and she kind of spoke about this project that she had been working on, but I didn't want to dig too deep into it, not to be invasive. So kind of just waited around until September when she gave me the call and said that she wanted to do start a bobsled and skeleton federation for Nigeria. And then she, I think her and Ngozi went to dinner or brunch.
Yeah, so we have a annual dinner that we usually go to, just being that me and Sheon both ran for Nigeria. So we have our annual dinner just to catch up and see what we're doing. At that particular dinner, she went ahead and told me about bobsled and asked me if I was interested. So I thought about it for a little while, and then I said yes, because, I mean, who wouldn't be interested? It's different for Nigeria. It's something that we haven't seen before, and it could turn out to be really great, and look at us now.
Yeah. And then, after they got together, I heard about them. I read an article and was super inspired. I thought what they were doing was so amazing. And because I had heard of other track athletes going into bobsled, I immediately reached out and I thought maybe I could be part of it. And then I found out that, well, actually, they're good. They have the team. And then I discovered skeleton. And then I said, why not? And I went for skeleton, and we all together have done great things. And just like that, Nigeria now had its very first bobsled team and skeleton athlete headed for the 2018 Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang, South Korea.
It was nerve-wracking to say the least, because that was the first time that you're ever on ice doing bobsled, because we don't practice in snow. The first time that we were ever at a bobsled track was the first time we actually did bobsled. So I think it was nerve-wracking. You have to realize that you're going to figure out a way to do the sport no matter what. And so I think that Shion had did a good job trying to explain to us what bobsled was and how the feeling is, but no feeling could really, emulate like the one that we would get when we were actually going down ice.
I think even in curiosity, people are just like, well, you're a good woman. You have good women with you. You're very smart. You guys are also very positive people. You're able to carry yourself, your country, and your continent very well. So we'll support it. You guys haven't given us a reason to think that there's some type of malintention or there's anything else that you have as far as motive. So we're going to support you. And having powerful and strong people behind me to support as well, like Chief Solomon Ogba, I had fostered a relationship with him through athletics. He then became one of the most important instruments in trying to get this whole thing done. And then even when it came to management, getting a management together with Temple Management, them coming together and then believing in this dream, and all the places where I couldn't split myself into 50 pieces, they started to pick up and really started to bring everything together. So once the public understood that there were some really important people involved, they started to take it seriously even more.
As the country manager of Travel Start Nigeria, I'm proud to announce that we have joined forces with KLM to fly the Ice Blazers, also known to us as Niger Heat, to Seoul, so that we can proudly represent Nigeria in the 2018 Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang.
At this point in time, we have a president who is trying to do his best to make things happen. Yes, there are challenges. We could make mistakes. We're not saying we haven't made mistakes, but we're going to get them together collectively. And I believe we're going to make it happen. So on behalf of President Buhari, I want to thank you once more. You know, when I say we have Nigerians in the diaspora doing great things, you now signify even more than we ever imagined. And for you to be home today, we're glad you came home before you went to Korea. You know what, that you're already winners. You are already winners. And by the grace of God, you're going to return to Nigeria, to Abuja, and Mr. President will personally receive you and say thank you to you.
You keep finding new finish lines. We'll keep helping you cross them.
Okay, so there was two monumental moments here, like when we first started the bobsled. It was one when we got sponsored by Visa. I was actually on the phone with Sheon and Aquama, and I said, which Visa? The global Visa, the Visa that we've been using since we were smaller. That's the only, form of payment we know. So I think that was one of the big moments. And the second one was Ellen, just because I watch her and now I'm on her show. So everything came full circle.
Some of them may think
huge viewership population. And so with that being said, we set out to create awareness, and when you're on Ellen, everybody's going to watch it. So I was super excited to be there.
It seemed as though the Ice Blazers had taken the world by storm and won the hearts of many. However, at this point, the question on everybody's mind was whether there would still be hunger for them to be competitive after having received so much glory before even reaching the Olympic stage.
Yes, I definitely went to the Olympics to win. I think any natural competitor, when you go to the biggest stage in the world, you're going to want to go there to win. That's just naturally what it is. You don't go to finish last. You don't go to finish second. You go there to be the champion. But out of respect for the process and out of the sport, you just do the best that you can, and sometimes that's okay. We get so caught up in quantifying what it means to be successful with awards or with accolades that many times we don't realize that you have to give yourself the little victories, and those little victories live in your ability to be your best, to be a better version of the one you were yesterday. And I think that in itself is far more greater than any lesson a gold medal can give you.
We're all athletes. We are competitive. We love to compete, and that's what we're going to go there to do. I think we don't go into a competition saying we're just going to jolly. We don't do that. So we're going in, we've trained really hard, and we're ready to do our best. And hey, I think if the opportunity for gold shows up, we're ready to snatch it.
It's up to me! Yeah!
I don't want us to undermine what we can do at the Olympics. Because Nigerians like medals. But I want to reassure you that it is doable. I'll tell you why. In Whistler, when we went for the qualification, the last phase of qualification, there was a race run. We were the only country that completed the race. And if that was the Olympics, that was a gold medal. Even the US bumped it. We're the only, So situation like that can present itself. So it's not. Then, Simi, in her last two qualifications, she was on the podium in the North American circuit, which is, apart from the World Cup, that's the most important circuit in this sport. So if you can compete in the biggest league and you're on the podium, of course, with dint of hard work and luck, something can happen. I don't want to say we pray because Nigeria depends, but I think it's doable. So, let us not think that we are going to participate. We are also going to compete. And that is the spirit. Yes. We are going to participate. Yeah, to participate. That is the Olympic spirit, but if the opportunity comes, we will seize it as Nigerians.
As Nigerians, yes.
It definitely has to be the moment when we hoisted that Nigerian flag into the opening ceremonies. That moment right there is something that I don't think it's actually fully hit me. The fact that we walked in for the first time with the Nigerian flag and raised it loud and proud for everyone in the world to see, to celebrate, and to know whether you're Nigerian or not Nigerian, just how strong and how powerful you are as a people. I think that moment in itself, just knowing that people all over the world saw that flag just flying, and the people behind it with pure joy and pride and patriotism and really uplifting what it means to be a Nigerian. I don't think I can quantify the feeling in this world, seriously.
And I think Nigerians will embrace the sport, and we're going to do well because we're already used to this sport. We are not scared of height. We're not scared of sliding from high elevation. We're not scared of height. So I think it's a sport that we're going to do well, and we're going to seize every opportunity to make it so. Thank you.
Although the Ice Blazers finished at a final position of 20th at the 2018 Winter Olympics, it cannot be disputed that they broke barriers and left their mark in the history books. After achieving so much in such a short period of time, one wonders what's next and if bobsled has a future in Nigeria.
I haven't been president of athletics for 8 years. I went through this, trying to convince Nigerians to come and run for the country. You find them running for the United States. You find them running for Great Britain. You find one running for Sweden. what's her name, Ezine or something. You know, all over the globe, we find Nigerians running for them, even in South Africa. But trying to get them to run for this country has been a challenge. Sometimes their parents are the cause of the problem. So when we find 4 women who voluntarily decide to, I mean, Chingu had the opportunity of doing Bobsleigh for the US team, but she decided to come home. And I know the pressure I went through with her just to get this going. So I think they need another round of applause.
When we did track and field, it was really for ourselves. And, you know, we had joy in representing the country and things of that sort. But we never thought that this would get this big, to the point where we have emails and messages from young girls and parents saying, like, I thank you so much because our children have something to look up to, and they can now, you know, dream without being fearful or go after their dreams. In Nigerian culture, sometimes we're not so receptive to people doing different things. And so we wanted to open the door for that, for our youth to be able to aspire to be anything that they want to be. We're Nigerian. We can do anything. We're strong. We're prideful. We have like the spirit of, you know, something that's very strong. And so if we stick together and we believe, we can do anything.
There are gold medals within the Nigerian community. It just doesn't have Nigeria behind it. There are lots of them. It's not that Nigeria is not capable of getting it. We just have to be able to create a plan where people can believe that it's okay to invest in their country and invest their personal strengths into uplifting Nigeria and bringing home more golds, because we can certainly do it.
I think my roots are Nigerian. I mean, when I think about the pledge, you know, I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal, and honest. I take that to heart. And for me, I came into this sport after 10 years of being retired. So it really took something special like this to get me out of bed, to compete at the world stage again. And for me, that was about Nigeria, the pride that I have to be Nigerian and being able to represent this great country. So it means a lot to me. My family, everybody, they're all rooting for me, and it's special when it's from home. So it's important to me.
Yes, I will have to say that same situation in my household. I was always considered an Igbo Nigerian girl first. So when it came to representing Nigeria, that was almost a no-brainer. It was the first culture that I've ever known. It's the first culture that I've loved. And so when I got the opportunity to represent Nigeria, I honestly latched onto it and held on tight.
Well, one thing I'll say is this is not my first time representing Nigeria, and I told myself when I was competing as a track and field athlete that if I ever became a professional athlete, I wanted to represent Nigeria, because this is the country that gave birth to the parents that raised me to be the woman that I am today. And everything that I've known in my existence has been in America, and nothing that I've actually been able to actively contribute to what the beauty of my heritage has been given. And this is going to be my ode to the country, because this is what I know, this is what I understand, as they mentioned. And so being able to see the pride and joy in people as they were celebrating when I was watching the 2004 Olympics, I knew that that's what I wanted to help bring to the country. I wanted to be able to bring that same type of joy and happiness and continue a legacy that can bring positivity to Nigeria. So it's not that, granted, there is a lot more competition, but I mean, when I came out of NCAA, I was number 1 in NCAA. I was, number 6 in the U.S. in hurdles. When I was on the U.S. team, I was a World Cup brakeman. So it's not like, Nigerians, we are talented. It's not like we can't reach a platform where we can be the most competitive with the rest of the world. It's just that we need to create the levels and avenues to do that, but it has to start somewhere. And that's what I think, personally, I wanted to give to this country to help.
Let me tell you, Shenwu is African champions in the hurdles. African champions in the hurdles. Ngozi is African silver medalist in the 200 meters. I mean, not just she's come here for all African games and competed. Simi is 4 times All-America. You know what it means to be All-America? To be in the finals of the NCAA. I met Chenwu first in 2009 in the NCs. She was in the final of the hurdles. So that tells you she could be an American athlete. All of them. So it is not true that look, there are so many Nigerians who run for the US up to now. There's many of them from Great Britain, from many Nigerians. But do they really want to come home? So anyone who comes home, we must. Yes.
It gave me a sense of why this was going to be important to do for the country of Nigeria and inadvertently also for the continent of Africa. It was just while I was on the team that all these things started coming to me. The sport was trying to grow. They needed more women represented. Nigeria was looking for their Winter Olympic debut. Africa just never had a bobsled team. So I knew it just became much larger than myself. This was something that I was just being put in a position to where I could now help bridge that gap, given that I had a relationship with the Nigerian Olympic Committee from athletics and now with the Winter Olympic committees. So this was just an opportunity to allow God to use me on this earth to do his will. And I think that was what I prayed about. I prayed to just let go and let God have his way, and that was what happened. It just came to me that, Sharon, it's about time to do something bigger than you. And recruited two amazing ladies to join the journey with me, and eventually became something that the world could be proud of.
The team came to Nigeria, bought a wooden sled, which we have in the vehicle. If you want to have it, you can see it. And we went to schools, went to the Teslim Stadium to do exhibition, to get it introduced to kids. So we already have that. And we have plans to make 6 more sleds that we intend to take to the different part of the country so people can. Because you can really do the sport 70% outside ice. Then when it comes to the time of everybody in the world goes to those places. We have just like 11 race courses in the world.
But there are things that we have in place right now to help that execution, whether it's now bringing in coaches from Nigeria to go with us to Olympic Games. We have athletes that are coming in that are already in the federation to compete next season as well. We have interested athletes coming in, and then we have a plan within Nigeria where we're going to draw in more homegrown athletes as well.
I'm a coach. We are going with the Olympics in this country. By March, we are going to go for driving school, and we are sending 2 coaches from here to understudy what is going on there, and they'll come back and pass the knowledge to other people so that they can, like I said, you train here, then you go to the ice. So they can train Nigeria and also go to the ice.
Yes, my role models are definitely my parents. They've done such an amazing job of raising myself and my brothers, and I think that if there's anyone that I aspire to be, it's going to be the people that made me who I am today, because I couldn't have made myself the way that I am without their support, their endless support, and their ability to invest in me and in my dreams. So I love them. I'm so grateful for them all the time. And I think that every single day that I can aspire to be like them is a day where I'm winning.
A dream, a vision, a passion for excellence. I think that's the best way to sum up Sheon Adegona and the Nigerian bobsled team. What a journey it has been to follow them through their exploits as they made history to be the first ever African bobsled team. I do believe that the best is yet to come for them, and we continue to follow their journey. We do look forward to their next moves. But until then, I'm Ms. Mumbai from Lagos. Have a wonderful day.